Going to be finishing off our LMG here. Going to be going over some talents as well as perfect focus builds. Welcome to Best in Slot LMG. Alright, well firstly, because this is going to be the first one like this, because simply put, the SMGs, it was either Lady Death, can't change the talent, or Dark Winter, can't change the talent. So for this one we have to go over a few talents. Simply just because, technically speaking, the best in slot LMGs are not LMGs, it's the L86 and the RPK. Other than that, we do have Pestilence, can't really change the talent, Blue Screen, can't change the talent, and then the named RPK, New Reliable, which has that weapon handling on, again, can't change the talent. And I'm already seeing some people saying that the named RPK, New Reliable, is pretty bad. Despite that, and even not having a damage talent, it is the third highest DPS LMG in the game. It will literally beat out pretty much everything else with a damage talent. Not just in damage, but in also accuracy, sustained DPS because of the reload, the stability, and the ability to actually hit more shots, or even, with an LMG, go for headshots. I've even seen a few weird builds previously while doing research for this video of people running a New Reliable headshot build, and yeah, they were doing like 1.8 million damage a shot on the head. It's pretty damn juicy. So regardless of how you feel, I'm not trying to tell you what to play, I'm just advising you on what is best in slot, and then you can make your judgments from there. Improvise, adapt and overcome your individual hurdles and how you wish or want to play. Now, one thing that did strike me is no one went, hey, what about perfect focus builds? Perfect focus in terms of automatic fire DPS is the most powerful chess piece in the game, regardless of what weapon you are using. So rather than running something like this, 4-piece Heartbreaker, Coyote's Mask, Seska backpack with Vigilance, obviously custom L86 because it allows us to put the Technician laser pointer on, Flatline, we covered this in the previous video, but instead of that you would run this. 4-piece Heartbreaker again, but pristine example for perfect focus, a Cheska backpack with Vigilance, and obviously 4-piece Heartbreaker. The only change on the weapon here is we've swapped out the crit chance mod on the weapon sight for the headshot capability. Now, despite the fact that, technically speaking, the build with focus will do an average of 1 million more in DPS, it all comes from headshots. And although Heartbreaker has weapon handling on the set, it is not enough to be able to consistently get those headshots with an LMG while moving around to make full use of it. Some players will be able to do this, we typically call them freaks of nature. However, for the general populace, it's not really considered meta, despite being more DPS, or best in slot despite being more DPS on an LMG, simply because, one, you can't utilize the shield with it. The main DPS point of utilizing focus is using corners and shield peeking. Whether you like this or not, or agree with it, doesn't matter. The main reason, other than the immense amount of total weapon damage that focus will give you, the main reason it's viable in the open world and missions, and especially legendary missions, is because of utilizing corners with the shield. You cannot do that with an LMG. Secondly, due to the lower accuracy and stability of LMGs, it's generally harder to maintain those headshots to make full use of that 14.76% increase in DPS against the head. Instead, you end up hitting the body more often, which is a 1.5% decrease. Now, there are some weird, wacky builds using perfect focus and Sleipnir. these are typically reserved for certain roles within Iron Horse Raid. I'm not going to be putting them up because they serve one purpose, and other than that, even top tier raiders will tell you the build is terrible in the open world. It's just for the raid. So hopefully that covers off why there's no focus builds in the LMG best in slot, despite focus being able to give you more damage. 1, you can't use a shield. 2, you kind of have to actively try and hit headshots. Good luck with an LMG. Second one is the best in slot talent. Now we have 2 of these. Obviously, you can go with things like Preservation, Future Perfect, or whatever it is you specifically want in order to help keep you alive. I do feel like Preservation and Future Perfect are slept on talents, although it's not an increase in DPS. A lot of people always argue about, oh, but blue cores help you stay alive, bloody, bloody, blah. Preservation or Future Perfect will do a better job of it than like 6 blue cores. Go full DPS, put Preservation on, problem solved. Anyway, best in slot talents, we have 2. We have Strained and Frenzy. Now, there is a vast difference between these, and it mostly depends on your playstyle. Now, I should note that from the off, Frenzy is outright more DPS. This is on our Strikers with Contractor's Gloves build. We've got with Strained at the top, Frenzy with a rate of fire roll on the weapon in the middle, and at the bottom it's Frenzy with a health roll. At no point, as long as Frenzy is active, do you drop below what Strained can give you. It's either a 13% increase or an 8% increase, roughly. Now the caveat to all of this is Strained is easy to activate. Just start shooting. It's that simple. Strained will work around you as the player. Whether you've got rounds left in the magazine, whether it's a fresh reload, whether you need to reposition, re-engage, or reload on the move, have a little bit of downtime to set up an armor kit mid-magazine, doesn't matter, Strained will always be there for you. Although it's a DPS decrease, it is always there for you. It's like that safety blanket, if you wanted to call that. Frenzy, on the other hand, forces you, almost dictates that you must play how Frenzy tells you to play. Although it is a hell of a DPS increase and is very, very beneficial to builds like Strikers and Heartbreakers, where building stacks is the aim of the overall set, increasing your fire rate is the easiest way to increase the rate in which you get stacks to get more damage. However, if you got 3 bullets left in the magazine and you need to reposition, you can't reload to continue your burst DPS. You even now need to go into your sustained DPS calculations, which is a lot lower. Not to mention the fact that you only fire off 3 bullets into the enemy before you reload. You also could potentially just fire off those 3 bullets into nothingness to force a reload. However, when you do that, the Frenzy buff is immediately active upon the reload completion. You've now got 5 seconds. If that buff is not up in time, or if it ends before you're ready to engage, you've 1, wasted 3 bullets, oh no, but you've also wasted the buff, at which point there's no point running a talent in the first place. You might as well just go with something like Preservation or Future Perfect. In short, Strained doesn't really have a downside. It's just there. Frenzy, on the other hand, although it has a plethora of mighty and powerful upsides, it's also got a very large collection of downsides. It is technically the categorical best in slot talent for LMGs of a certain type, and by certain type I mean LMGs that have under 100 rounds. Even on Sleipnir, which has perfect Frenzy, those last 2, I think it's 2 bullets in your mag, are not affected by the Frenzy buff because the buff runs out. So all you see those people putting 130, 150 rounds in their magazine for Frenzy, they're actually not getting it. It's quite funny. Anyway, that's going to end this video here. Have fun. Good luck. Don't die. It's bad for the health.